guys and welcome. I am Miranda and you are here with May Yoga. Today's video is going to be made especially for complete beginners. It's going to be quite basic. I'm going to be giving a lot of verbal guidance and I want to just introduce you to some of the core basic poses of yoga that are suitable for beginners to help build you up to a practice. There is a Shiba Inu that you might hear his little claws running around, or he might come into the picture. Hopefully he'll give me my space, but you might be able to see a little puffer dog as well. If this is your first time practicing with me, I do ask that you look in the description below this video and find a link for a separate video called Tips for a Safe Yoga Practice, and watch that first. It's full of really good tips, especially if you're starting out on a journey of yoga. For props, today we're really only going to need some water. I always recommend you have water. It doesn't matter how intense a practice is, hydration is always a good idea. So to begin, from seated, we're going to move to child's pose. It's a really nice, relaxing pose and something you can go to at any time during a practice when you need to kind of catch your breath and just take a moment. So there's two variations of child's pose. Child's pose A is your legs stay together, feet are together behind your hips, and then you just let your head fold forward, forehead connects to the ground, and your arms are beside your body, palms up. And this is a relaxing pose you can hold. Child's pose B, I want to show both of them to you. Child's pose B is a little more active, and it's just really great to relax into, but you're also working on lengthening the back, opening the hips a bit, increasing flexibility while you relax. So it's like a double bonus there. So your big toes stay touching. You open your knees up the width of the mat. Bring the palms down in front of you, and then you're going to walk yourself forward. And again, letting the forehead come down to the mat if you can. If you don't have that flexibility, you can always maybe grab a blanket or a pillow and bring that under the torso or under the forehead. Whatever you need to find a ground here so you can relax into this. Your hands are going to kind of determine how active this is. You can always walk them forward, extend them a little bit more, and then grip the ground with your hands to help open up space in the shoulders and down the sides of your back. So it's a really nice pose to kind of settle into, to release and hold. And any time, especially if you feel like you're just starting out and your back is very tight when we go into any back bend and you're having some tightness and a little bit of pain, go into this child's pose, and that will help breathe into that space a bit, if that makes sense. All right, so when you're ready to come out of child's pose, again, you use the hands to gently draw yourself up. So like walk the hands back towards the body. Sitting upright, and then bringing the knees together. From here, we're going to go to Barmanasana, which is tabletop pose. And it is exactly what you think of when you think of a tabletop. So you come up, your hands are shoulder width distance apart, your knees are hip width distance apart. And you're making that tabletop, shocker I know with that name, with your back. Now, I prefer to have the shins grounded because that helps draw the weight out of the knees. Some people, if they're feeling unsteady and they need a little bit of extra grounding, they will bring the balls of their feet, so flexing the feet and pushing into the mat. And this can help you feel more stable. All right? So from tabletop, a really, really amazing motion you can do is going to be cat-cow, Vitalasana, Majariasana. So in this, you're moving with your breath, okay? So looking down at the ground between the hands. On your inhale, you're going to think about dropping the belly, opening the chest, and looking up at the sky. On the exhale, you're rounding the shoulders, rounding the spine, pulling the belly in, and dropping the head, looking down at the space between your knees. Moving with the breath. Inhale, sink down that belly, looking up, opening the chest. Exhale. Chin drops towards the chest, pull in the stomach, round the spine. And you can just move with these. These are a really nice way to warm up our back. Anyone can do this kind of motion. It doesn't matter how deep you go. You start this kind of undulation in your spine And over time, you'll notice that you're getting a little bit further on either pose. The nice thing too about cow-cow is you can actually do it seated, and I'm going to show you that later if you ever feel like your wrist or your knees are hurting, you want to still do the back movement. So coming back to neutral from here, we're going to move down to our bellies, down to the mat. So you can just walk the hands back, walk feet back, drop down here. And I'm going to show you Bhujangasana, which is Cobra. And the great thing about Cobra is you're really in charge of how high up you go. So if you are completely new at this and you've got a lot of tightness in the shoulders and the back, respect that. Go as far as you can hold. And then stay there, practice with that, and you'll get better. Your body will naturally progress. You don't want to push to the point of injury though. So to start, you want to try to get those legs together. Your hands are going to be underneath the shoulders. Palms are flat to the mat. Open those fingers nice and wide. You're going to keep the elbows close to the ribs. You don't want to let your arms fall out because you're going to be putting a lot of undue pressure on the shoulders if you do. So keep those elbows tucked close to the sides of your body. And you can relax the forehead down here if you need for a moment. Hands under the shoulders. And you push into the hands on an inhale. So inhale, draw yourself up. Now you can just do a half cobra where the belly is still connected to the ground. You're just pulling that chest open. Or you can come up to a full Bhujangasana, which is your stomach comes off the mat. Your hips are still connected. Your toes are pointed back. Your gaze is forward. You're not looking up here. You're not putting any pressure on the neck. Just gazing forward. And if this feels too much on your back, lower yourself down to half. If that feels like it's just too much, go to Sphinx, which is your forearms are down on the mat, elbows are below the shoulders, and you're pulling with the hands, drawing the chest forward. There's a lot of things you can do in this pose. It's just a nice way to open up the chest, the shoulders, and into the back a little more. All right? So last few breaths here, practicing your Bhujangasana wherever you can get today. Opening the heart, thinking about shining the heart forward. You're going to hear that a lot in yoga. So it's a nice kind of image of opening the chest. And then to come out of it, release yourself all the way down. Next, we're going to move to another pose you're going to hear a lot in yoga, and that is going to be downward facing dog. All right, so there's a lot of good tips I'm going to give you this time. So to come into it the easiest way, if you're especially you're starting out, come back to tabletop. So push yourself up to hands and knees. Walk those knees as wide as the hips. And then you're going to tuck your toes under. And you're going to make sure that your hands are nice and open to the mat. That's Nico. Hi, buddy. So you want to say hi to the camera? You're just going to show your butt. Yeah, he's just going to show his booty. I'm really sorry. So the nice thing about going into downward dog is it is kind of a pose you can do so much from. So you want to make sure you have a good foundation for it. It's a great way. It's also an inversion. So hands are under the shoulders, push them into the balls of the feet. On an exhale, lift up the hips and sink the hips towards the back of the mat. Now for beginners, I want you to just keep that deep bend in the knees. This is going to help your back be straight. A lot of what I see in beginners is they're so determined to get their heels back to the ground that their back is not straight. And that's the focus of downward dog. A lot of people think it's all in the legs, but downward dog is actually meant to be a spine strengthener as well as an inversion. So if you need to keep that bend in the knees, if you've got very tight hamstrings, then keep that bend, pushing into the hands. If you're feeling pain in the wrist, a modification you can do is dropping to the forearms, clasping the hands, the elbows are shoulder width distance apart. This is dolphin pose. So for anyone out there who has a lot of pain in the wrist, maybe an old injury, you need to come down to the forearm, that's fine. All right? So hands are shoulder width distance apart. You want to think about your alignment here. Your ears are going to be between the biceps. So your arms are framing the ears here. Bend in the knees, and you can kind of play with down dog. You can walk the feet out. Call it walk the dog. All right? So pedal those feet, kind of loosens up the ankles and the calves a bit. And then you're going to pull that belly in, pushing into the hands. Again, keep the bend in the knees if you need it, if those hamstrings are tight. Your gaze is towards the back of the mat between the feet. And you're pulling in your core, lifting those hips up to the sky. Nice, guys. When you're ready to come out on an exhale, just drop down to the knees here again. Coming over to seated, we're going to go into butterfly, which is Baddha Konasana. It's one of my favorite personal poses because it's really great at stretching all of these ligaments around our gorgeous knees, which are sometimes hard to target. So to do butterfly, you're going to sit, bring the knees together, and you're going to start to imagine you're a butterfly and you're opening your wings, letting the bottom of the feet come together. Now, obviously, this can be a very difficult pose. It is an external rotation in your hips, and a lot of people have trouble. I've seen a lot of people be up here, and that's as far as they go. And that is great because you are working on it, and it's going to get better with time. So if you need, you can bring the feet out a little bit away from your groin. You can get pillows, blankets, anything that helps you hold it. Because when you are holding a pose, this is the beautiful thing about yoga, when you hold the pose, your body will respond, okay? And so you don't want to force it. That whole no pain, no gain thing does not apply here. You don't want to be in pain. You want to be a little bit beyond the edge of that comfort zone and hold. So from butterfly, your feet are together, your hands can be wrapped around. Last thing I'm going to show you here seated before we move up to standing is that kind of cat-cow movement. You can bring the hands to the front of the shins here and do those cat-cows, all right? So you can inhale, roll the shoulders up, pull the chest open, look up at the sky. Exhale, shoulders roll up, and you curve the back, pulling the belly in, rounding the spine. Again, showing you that inhale, shoulders roll up, you look up at the sky, you shine that heart. And exhale, drop the chin down to the chest, round the spine. Coming back to neutral. So that's something that you can do even seated. I just realized I have Nico hair everywhere. You can do that seated anywhere you like. And it's just a lovely way to kind of work the hips in butterfly. You're working those knees. You're helping the back if you're doing the cat-cow. There's a lot of beautiful benefits that are happening all together. Okay, so next we're going to be moving up to standing pose. So go ahead and come to the top of the mat. Feet are hip-width distance apart, and I'll see you there. All right, my friends, so we are meeting here in Tadasana, which means mountain pose, which is another really great stabilizing pose. To do this, your feet are parallel to each other, your hip-width distance apart, your arms are relaxed to the side. You can roll the shoulders open. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Think about your shoulder blades squeezing together behind the back and kind of moving down. That gives you the openness that you need in the interior and the front of the body. Your palms are facing forward to begin. And you really want to think about, the name is mountain pose, and that's why. You want to think about being strong and sturdy. Feeling the connection of your feet to the mat. You've got your big toe, the mound of your foot behind the big toe, the mound of your foot behind your pinky toe, and then the two outer parts of your heel. So your calcaneum is your heel, but you call it the four corners of the feet for the outer and the inner part of the heel. Those are your four corners. So you really want to think about connecting the four corners of your feet down to the ground when you're doing mountain pose. And simply holding this steady can actually be very difficult for some people to feel that sturdiness and that connection. So it's a nice practice to try, especially if you think you're going to have problems with it. Just kind of work into it. So coming from mountain pose, I'm going to turn a little sideways so you can kind of see this angle I'm going to show you. We're going to work towards a warrior one. And warriors are fantastic in yoga. It's a lot, the name is very fitting because it's a lot about strength and kind of that peaceful strength that you can hold in these warriors. So beginning in mountain pose, face is relaxed, arms by the body, palms facing forward. And then we're going to start on the left leg here. So you're going to pick up that left knee slightly and then step it back just as far as you think you can hold. Don't go too crazy wide-legged here on me. You want your feet to be hip-width distance apart so that you don't topple over, you have more stability. And then you're going to start to bend that right knee until it comes to 90 degrees. Now I'm showing you a very high warrior one because this is a beginner's video. If you feel like you have a little bit more flexibility, you can pick that back foot up and step it back a bit more. Okay, pick up the back leg to step back, not the front, because you pick up the front leg, you're going to have more impact on this knee, and I'm always very mindful of keeping the impact on our joints very low. It's a wonderful thing about yoga. So showing you this kind of high warrior one. Front knee is at 90 degrees. Your right foot is very grounded here. Your left heel picks up a little bit, and that's okay. If you're not steady here, turn that back foot 45 degrees. And that'll give you your sturdiness. Very important thing here in warrior one, if you do turn that back foot, you notice how my hips turn. We don't want that. Warrior one, you want to take your hands to your hips and try to turn them so that they're flush with the front of the mat. Okay? Obviously, you're going to have a bit of a back bend because this leg is back. This is really great for the psoas muscle in the front of the hip, the iliopsoas muscles here. Holding here, or if you think that you like to just engage those arms, come to full warrior one. Inhale, swing the arms forward and up. Dropping the arms so that there's space around the ears. You're not clenching here, you're not closing the space. So opening up here, shoulders drop down, palms face each other, and your gaze is forward. And this is warrior one. This is a strong, beautiful pose. Like I said, the more you go into it, the more you practice it, the further back your feet, like your back foot might come. You're going to go a little deeper into it. That back heel might come up. Really amazing stretch. And strengthener here, you're holding. So working with that warrior one, kind of trying to show you all the foundations here. So to come out of this, you're going to simply straighten that back leg, and we're going to go to warrior two. All right? So to go to warrior two, from warrior one, straighten that front leg. You're going to turn the body so that your body is now facing towards the side of your mat. Starting with both legs straight, that front foot is going to stay pointed forward. Back foot is going to be at a 90-degree angle. You want to look at your feet. You want that front heel to connect with the arch of that back foot. So in the middle of that back foot is where your front heel should go to. That gives you your kind of alignment there. Okay, so you've got this. You want your hips now. In warrior one, the hips were to the front of the mat. Now the hips are working towards the side of the mat. Okay, so bring your hands to the hips first. And then you're going to inhale, lift up the arms. Now, to begin, you want your palms faced up. I'm going to show you a lovely trick I love to do with my students. You want those palms faced up so you're really opening the chest here. Keeping that openness in the chest. Then turn your hands down. A lot of people go straight to warrior one, warrior two with their palms down, and I notice that their shoulders are rounded. So nice way to do that, palms face up at first, and then pivot your hands down. Now we're going to kind of start to work on this front knee. We want to bring it back to 90-degree bend. Start to bend into that front knee. Very important, you don't let this knee collapse in. You want that knee to go towards the outside of the foot, towards the pinky toe. Because what happens a lot in warrior two is that people's feet will pronate. It will go inside. You'll collapse, you lose that arch, and you really risk hurting your knee here. Okay? So working on the hip, external rotation here, working that knee towards the outside of that foot to maintain that arch on the inside. All right? Arms are strong, and you really want to imagine, like, I know it's a silly image perhaps, but that someone is pulling on the fingertips of both of your hands, elongating from one edge to the other. So this kind of gives you that nice image of a beautiful Virabhadrasana B, or two. So warrior two's here. The nice thing is once you get this foundation stable, there's a lot you can play with and you can learn and grow with your body. But it's a beautiful basic pose that I like to teach complete beginners. You're looking over towards the front of that right hand. And when you're ready to come out, simply start to straighten that front leg, bring the feet parallel. You can even pigeon toe here for this last moment, which means that your toes come in slightly. This kind of helps with an internal rotation here and helps open up the thighs a bit more, all right? Hands on the hips, go into forward fold, Prasarita Padottanasana, which just means hinging at the hips, wide-legged forward fold, bring the hands down to the mat, relax the head is your last thing. Kind of releasing here. Over time, as you get more flexible, you might even bring the forearms down to the mat or connect the head down. Wherever you go, hold there. You can have the fingertips down to help kind of ground you. You can settle in here. This is also a bit of an inversion because your head is bowing forward. It's going to be lower than your heart, especially the deeper you go. So it's a lovely little extra bit of work that you're getting out of this pose. You can always play with this too, grabbing the outside of the legs, pulling yourself deeper, or even releasing the hands behind the back, clasp the fingers, pull the hands up to the sky. Now to come out of this, your hands are going to come down to the mat. If they were anywhere else, bring them down to the mat. Up on the fingertips, and you're going to heel toe your feet together, like walking them together. Gently coming out of this until your feet come all the way. And then I want you to draw the hands up the legs, curving the spine, rounding the whole back, stacking each vertebra on top of each other. And at the top, squeeze the shoulders up and release them back, coming back into Tadasana. So it's always nice when you're doing standing poses, especially if you are a beginner, to begin and end with Tadasana so that you can even feel the difference in your body after you do some warriors, some forward folds, anything. You can really sort of settle here and notice those differences in the body. Notice, especially because we only did one side, you can notice how different your left hip and your right hip feel. So that kind of gives you like some foundation. And I just wanted to show you that. Feel free after this video is ended to do that warrior one, do that warrior two on the other side. You do want to try to bring the body back into balance. Watching the video again if you need for those tips that I've given you. And feel free to leave any feedback below. I will be doing more beginners yoga things, videos with more kind of basic poses. I just wanted to give you a quick little introduction and hopefully spark a love for yoga like it was sparked in me many years ago. If you have any questions, feel free to always message me through the Facebook May Yoga page, and I will be very glad to help however I can. I really do sincerely hope that I can help foster a love and a lifetime practice of yoga. So that's it for me today, guys. Feel free to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you would like, and I will see you again on the mat very soon. Namaste.